So it does look to be official. It looks like Halo Studios, formerly known as 343 Entertainment, but I kind of think everyone knows that, is officially ending major content support for Halo Infinite, which I have to say is definitely an interesting decision, but not really too much of a surprising one. So running through two things, what this video is going to be is thing number one is it's going to be running through pretty much just everything you kind of need to know before. Yeah, shit like the last major content update for the game, a couple other things, just things like that. And then the second thing is going to be going through mainly why the game died. And it's very simple, really. But anyways, going to the first thing being, well, as what I mentioned before, some of the things you guys need to know about it. So from the looks of it, it looks like the final major content update for the game is going to be Operation Infinite, which actually launched yesterday. So this news came around a week and a half ago. So I'm a little bit late to the party, but I need to be getting through my backlog of videos. So that's what we're going to be doing. That's probably going to be most of this week's videos, I guess. Yeah, anyways. That new update is going to be adding an array of new things like new maps. It's going to be adding 2x career rank / SP rewards, new battle pass, 8 new armor sets, just fucking shit like that. And then another thing that's also important to remember is while they are ending major content support updates for the game, so they're not going to be releasing content updates for the game, they're still going to be maintaining the servers. So they're not completely shutting the game down. They're just, they're no longer releasing content for the game. I think that's what I'm trying to say. So, like, for an example, the game will still be getting maintenance updates. The game's still going to be getting new weekly challenges. The game's still going to be getting new ranked seasons. And then the game's still going to get updated on, like, events, like, or holidays, like Christmas, Halloween, just things like that. And then finally going to the reason why they're doing this. And, it's actually really simple. The reason why they're doing it is mostly just because they want to start shifting resources to other projects or shifting teams to new projects, like the next Halo game and then the new Halo 1 remake. Yeah, that's a pretty fair explanation. Like, let's be completely real here. Why would you have teams, people you're actively paying money to work, continuously supporting a game which is kind of fucking dead? You know what I mean? I think a good example of this is I took a screenshot on this weekend, of the player count on Saturday morning. It was either Friday night or Saturday morning over in America. And I'm pretty sure it was at like 2,000 players, 2,500 players, which, for a Saturday morning, Friday night, that's considerably fucking bad. 2,500 players. Now, obviously that's not counting Steam players. Obviously that's not counting Xbox players, but it's still bad. For Steam alone, 2,500 players isn't that great. And then going on to the final thing, which isn't really something you need to know, but yeah, it's going on to the other subject of this video, and it's mostly just why the game failed. And fun little fact about Halo Infinite, if you actually didn't know, the game actually had a 10-year content plan. Yeah, you heard that correctly. They originally planned for 10 years of content for this game. And the game didn't even get to the halfway point because they're ending major content support after just 4 years. So they didn't even let this game get to the halfway point. Like, that's disrespectful, especially for a game that actually wasn't bad. And that's something I need to emphasize really, really importantly. Halo Infinite is not a bad game by any circumstance. It's still a decent Halo game. And yeah, and I remember at launch, the game was absolutely incredible. Like, it was so fucking good. I'm pretty sure it got up to around 300,000 players, or I'm pretty sure it was maybe 285,000 players. And it was really fucking great. People loved it. I was loving it. And at least from what I've heard, because I've actually never played a lot of the older Halo games, but from what I've heard, apparently it really was, apparently it felt a lot more like the original Halo games, which is obviously good because I know a lot of people love the original Halo games. And I say that I can't say that from personal experience because, fun little fact about me, I've actually never played a Halo. Halo Infinite was the first Halo game I ever played. So I've never played any of like the original Halo games. I never played any of those. So Halo Infinite was my first introduction to the Halo franchise. And I have to say, it wasn't a disappointment. I had a lot of fun with the game back at launch. And then over the past couple of years, I've continuously played it. And yeah, it's definitely fallen short. But running through a couple things, the main, like, I guess you could say 2 reasons why the game kind of died is 3 things. It mostly comes down to these 3 things. Thing number 1 being largely predatory monetization. So largely predatory monetization made players kind of iffy with the game. Thing number two, which some people try to claim isn't the reason why the game died, but is, in my opinion at least, the main reason why the game fucking died, is they kind of split the player base up quite a bit, if that kind of makes sense. Because I forgot when the Halo Master Chief Collection released, but I'm pretty sure it released around the same time. I'm actually going to fact check myself. Give me 1 second. Hey, I'm back. Yeah, so I needed to cut there because I needed to fact check myself. So I was going to mention the Halo Master Chief Collection. Now, fun little fact about the Halo Master Chief Collection. The Halo Master Chief Collection released back in 2014. But it released on PC back in 2019. And by 2021, when Halo Infinite had have just released, it was still, I guess you could say, considerably new, even though that's kind of 3 years old. Yeah, it wasn't really. But reason number two was mostly just a split player base. So around the 1 year mark, what they started to do with Halo Infinite is they started to release what I like to call bad updates. So while the game launched really well, ultimately in the end, when they around the first year of updates, that's when they really started to kind of fumble things a little bit. Like they had a lot of technical issues with the game around year one. So they would release a new update and it would just technically destroy the game completely. Like like there were certain times where it just wouldn't be playable. So what ended up happening is a lot of people who were playing Halo Infinite were like, okay, why would I sit here and play this shitty Halo Infinite that has horrible, like horribly predatory microtransactions, which has really, really bad updates. They're not releasing very much content for the game, right? You know, and it's just like every update's borderline breaking the game. Why would I play Halo Infinite when I can literally go over here and install Halo Master Chief Collection and play Halo 3? You know, where there's actually players playing it and things like that. And I think ultimately that's the second reason ultimately why Halo Infinite ended up dying, because in the end, you know, you're asking players to choose between Halo 3, right, and Halo Infinite, which at the time, again, they weren't releasing very much content for the game, and when they were releasing new updates for the game, it was just breaking the game completely, you know. So it's like, what are you gonna choose? What are you going to choose? Masterpiece Halo 3 or Halo Infinite, which, you know, they borderline break the game every time they update it. You're going to pick you're going to pick Halo Master Chief Collection. I'm sorry, you're going to pick Halo 3. I'm just saying. Yeah, and before you say anything, Halo Infinite was my first introduction to the Halo franchise, but I have played the Master Chief Collection. So I remember I said earlier in the video I've never played the original Halo games, but that's not entirely true because I technically have played the original Halo games before, but when I played Halo Infinite, that was my first time playing a Halo game. So I probably need to emphasize that a little bit better, but I emphasized it later in the video, so that's all that really matters. Then going to reason 3, which reason 3 is really simple, and I mentioned this even earlier in the video. When they didn't release very much content for the game, and when they did release new content for the game, it was just really like small amounts of content. So pretty much, I think the word I'm looking for is the content drip was not there. You know what I mean? So they weren't releasing content consistently enough. It just wasn't good enough, you know. So when they would release content, there just wouldn't be very much, and it was spaced out apart really badly. So yeah, that's just. Yeah, so that's reason number 3. And then the final reason, which my mind just went blanked for a second there. Oh yeah, and again, this is another thing I mentioned earlier in the video, but pretty much every time they updated the game for like the first year or two, it would just completely break the game. So a game that went like literally Halo Infinite at launch was like, at least from what I remember, I could be completely wrong on this, but at least from what I remember when I played the game back at launch, the game, like, I don't remember any of the guns being too like overpowered. I don't remember the game being too buggy at launch. I remember it being really stable, really well balanced, and really fun. At least, again, that's from what I remember. It was 4 years ago, so maybe I'm iffy on the details. Maybe nostalgia. I say nostalgia. It's not really nostalgia, but maybe like maybe my vision's a little foggy on that one. But at least from what I remember, I don't remember the game being really that imbalanced or that buggy until around, again, a year after the game's launch, where after around a year, when they started to update the game and release new updates for it, they ended up making the game horribly balanced, so there'd just be weapons they'd release that were just way more powerful than the other ones, and even already pre-existing weapons that were in the game at launch were like weirdly like really powerful now. They'd be like, we're going to be slightly tweaking this weapon, but it wasn't like a slightly tweaked weapon, like they weren't slightly tweaking it, it was just now like immensely powerful, and it was like, how the fuck did you do that? Why did you do that? How did you even do that? Yeah, it's insane. And then the second thing being they just generally broke the game every update. So like they'd release a new update for the game, and then they'd just completely fucking break it. No, like how are you doing this? How are you breaking the game after a singular update? You know what I mean? Like the game would get into like a playable position, and then they'd go, guess what? We're having more content, or we're releasing more content. Then they would release the content, and then the game would be back to being broken again. You know, they weren't releasing content very often, but when they did, it just broke the fucking game. Again, at least that's from what I remember. And that's my thing with Halo Infinite, and I need to go into my past with Halo Infinite, is I was very on and off with Halo Infinite, if that kind of makes sense. So I was like, where am I going with this? Yeah, I played the game at launch, and then I took a couple months break. Then I came back to the game, and it was like buggy. It was really unbalanced. Played it a little bit, then took another break, and I was taking like 2 to 3 month breaks with the game. So I played the game pretty consistent. I played the game every like 2 to 3, maybe 5 months. Yeah, I played the game every like 2 to 3 months, where I'd like drop like 20 hours into the game, 30 hours into the game, and then I'd leave for 5 months and then come back and then do the same thing again. So that's my experience with Halo Infinite, and at least from what I can remember with my years of playing the game, it kind of did do that. So, but then again, maybe there are a couple people who played Halo Infinite a lot more, what's what I'm looking for? A lot more, consistently, you know what I mean? That maybe they didn't have the same experience. Maybe it was like it ran perfectly fine the entire time and it was awesome. But again, at least from what I remember from when I played the game and when I was doing my 20 hours every 5 months, the game was just pretty much buggy. Yeah, and again, that's from what I heard from other people who were playing the game actively at the time. Like back then I used to watch a lot of Dr. Disrespect. Not anymore because for obvious reasons that, yeah, you know, but back then I used to watch a lot of Dr. Disrespect, and he used to play the game really vigorously, like even like 2 years after the game's launch. And I remember watching him and shit would just be buggy. I'd be watching compilation clips of him just losing his mind because of how fucking buggy the game was after a new update, or, you know, a gun went from being like really insanely balanced to like immensely too powerful, and it just stupid shit like that, at least from what I remember. So yeah, that's the final reason, you know, mostly just when they did release updates, which even though that was quite rare, when they did release updates and when they did release new content for the game, a lot of the time it was just way too buggy and just wasn't balanced very well. Again, at least from what I remember, and at least from what I remember from the outcry on Twitter, because I followed a lot of Halo Infinite accounts on Twitter and a lot of them were saying a very similar thing. So yeah, but hey, who knows? Anyways, I'm going to quit yapping. I'm going to go. I'm running out of time. So, yeah, I want to know, how do you guys feel about Halo Infinite no longer getting major content? Do you care? Do you not care? I want to know. And I also want to know, do you still play Halo Infinite? Do you still have a good time with it? I think I might jump back into the game over the season. So, you know, Christmas is coming up. So, I don't know. I might play it through December. We'll have to see. But yeah, I might. We'll have to see. Anyways, I'm going to quit yapping. And yeah, I'm going to go. And yeah, all good.